Fleet Admiral Zix stood tall on the command deck of the Imperial flagship Eternal Dominance. His forearms were folded behind his back as he stared at the view screen. The small ship that had entered Imperial space looked primitive. Its hull was smooth and lacked the elegant spires and energy nodes that marked proper galactic vessels. "What is that thing?" Zix asked, his upper lip curling in disgust. His second in command, a tall, green-skinned Zalarian named Crete, checked the scanner data. "Unknown design, Admiral. It appears to be using basic fusion drives with a primitive faster-than-light system. We've never seen this configuration before." Zix laughed. "Another species stumbling into space. How quaint. Hail them. Let's welcome them to the Empire." On board the Earth spaceship Defiant, Captain Samuel Wright felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. After decades of theoretical work, humans had finally developed faster-than-light travel. The Defiant was humanity's first deep space vessel designed for diplomatic contact. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," said Lieutenant Olivia Daniels from the tactical station. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. "It's coming from the large vessel ahead." Wright straightened his uniform. This was the moment humanity had prepared for. "On screen, Lieutenant." The bridge crew fell silent as the alien face appeared on the main display. Admiral Zix had blue-gray skin, 4 black eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and a mouth full of small, sharp teeth. "Unknown vessel," the alien said, its translator converting its clicks and hisses into English. "You have entered the territory of the Galactic Imperial Alliance. Identify yourselves immediately." Captain Wright stepped forward. "This is Captain Samuel Wright of the Earth spaceship Defiant. We come in peace as representatives of humanity. We seek diplomatic relations with other intelligent species." Zix eyes blinked in sequence. "Earth? Humanity? Your species is not in our records." He turned to speak to someone off-screen before facing Wright again. "Your vessel's technology is primitive. How did you achieve faster-than-light travel?" "We developed it independently," Wright replied. "Our scientists—" "Impossible," Zix interrupted. "No species develops warp technology without guidance. You must have stolen it." Dr. Alan Fisher, the ship's xenobiologist and first contact specialist, whispered to Wright, "Captain, I don't think this is going well." Wright nodded slightly. "Admiral, I assure you our technology is our own. We seek only peaceful exchange of knowledge and—" "Your vessel will submit to inspection," Zix declared. "Prepare to be boarded. If your technology is legitimately developed, you will be processed for entry into the Empire as a protectorate species." Wright's expression hardened. "With respect, Admiral, we are not seeking to join any empire. We are an independent world interested in equal diplomatic relations." The alien commander laughed, a harsh sound like stones grinding together. "Equal? Your ship is barely holding together by our standards. Your species has just learned to crawl among the stars. There is no equality here. There is the Empire, and there are those who serve the Empire." Lieutenant Daniels leaned toward Wright. "Captain, they're scanning us with some kind of energy beam. It's penetrating our hull." "Admiral," Wright said firmly, "please stop scanning our vessel. We consider this an invasion of privacy." "Privacy?" Zix seemed amused. "Such primitive concerns. Your vessel will be boarded and your crew evaluated for useful skills. Those who qualify will be given appropriate positions within the Empire." The bridge crew exchanged worried glances. This was nothing like the first contact scenarios they had trained for. "We refuse to be boarded," Wright said. "We will return to Earth and allow our government to establish proper diplomatic channels." Zix amusement vanished. "You misunderstand, human. This is not a request. All new species must be processed. It is for your own protection. The galaxy is dangerous. Weapon systems activating on the alien ship," Lieutenant Daniels reported urgently. Wright made a quick decision. "Raise shields. Begin plotting a course back to Earth." On the Imperial flagship, Admiral Zix sighed. "These new species always resist. Fire a warning shot. Something small, just enough to disable their engines." A beam of green energy shot from the Eternal Dominance toward the human vessel. The Imperial weapons officer had calculated a precise hit that would damage only the propulsion systems, but he had severely underestimated the fragility of human shields. The Defiant rocked violently as the beam tore through its port side. Warning, alarms blared across the bridge. Direct hit to decks 3 through 5, Daniel shouted over the noise. Shield generators are offline. Life support is damaged in the lower sections. Return fire, Wright ordered. The Defiant's basic laser weapons fired, striking the Imperial ship. To the humans' surprise, the shots actually caused minor damage to the alien vessel's sensor array. On the Imperial bridge, Zix Vora stared in shock as damage reports came in. How did they damage us? Their weapons are primitive. It appears their energy weapons operate on a different frequency than our shields are calibrated for, Creed explained. Fascinating, Zix Vora said. Recalibrate and destroy their weapons. I want that ship intact. Back on the Defiant, Dr. Fisher gripped his console. Captain, we can't win this fight. I know, Wright said grimly. Helm, engage emergency warp as soon as we're clear of their gravity well. All power to the engines. The damaged human ship turned sharply and accelerated away from the Imperial vessel. They're running, Crete reported to Admiral Zix Vora. Pursue them. Their technology might be more interesting than I thought, the Admiral ordered. The Eternal Dominance began to follow, but the Imperial commander had made a critical error. The human ship, despite its apparent simplicity, had one advantage: speed. The Defiant's engines, designed by Earth's best engineers, pushed the vessel to velocities the Imperial ship hadn't expected. Sir, they're accelerating beyond our pursuit. Capabilities, Crete reported with disbelief. Impossible! Zix Vora slammed a fist on his command chair. Their ship looks like it was built by children. But the distance between the vessels was growing. The Defiant, trailing plasma and debris, managed to reach the minimum safe distance and engaged its warp drive. In a flash of light, it vanished. Track. Them! Zix Vora demanded. Crete worked the controls frantically. I can't, Admiral. Their warp signature is unusual. Our sensors can't lock on. The Admiral stood silent for a moment, then turned to his communications officer. Send word to Imperial Command. We have encountered a new species with unusual technological capabilities. They call themselves humans. They are unregistered, unprocessed, and now they know of our existence. As the Defiant limped back toward Earth, Captain Wright looked around his damaged bridge. 3 crew members were dead, and many more were injured. The ship would need extensive repairs just to make it home. Send a message to Earth Command, Wright told Lieutenant Daniels. Tell them we are not alone in the universe, and not everyone out here is friendly. Dr. Fisher, bandaging a cut on his arm, looked up. What do you think they'll do when they learn about Earth? Wright's expression was grim. They'll come looking for us, and when they do, we need to be ready. 2 years passed since the damaged ESS Defiant limped back to Earth with its grim news. The ship now sat in a huge underground facility, surrounded by scientists and engineers who studied every mark the Imperial weapons had left on its hull. General, Heather Martinez walked alongside the vessel, her boots clicking on the concrete floor. She stopped beside Dr. Kate Johnson, who was examining data on a tablet. Tell me we've made progress, Martinez said. Dr. Johnson nodded. More than you might expect, General. The Imperial weapon that hit the Defiant was holding back, way back. They meant to disable, not destroy. And that's good news? It is, Johnson said, pushing her glasses up. Because we've learned how their weapons work. They use an energy frequency our old shields couldn't stop, but now we know how to block it. Martinez looked at the scientist. You're saying we can defend against their weapons? Better than that, Johnson said with a smile. We can adapt our own weapons to hit them where they're weak. In another part of the facility, Commander John Rivers stood before a large screen showing star maps. Secretary Eric Powell from the United Earth government had just arrived for his weekly briefing. It's only a matter of time before they find us, Rivers said, pointing to a section of space. Our scouts have detected Imperial ships at the edge of our solar system twice now. They're mapping the area. Powell frowned. How long do we have? Based on their movement patterns, Rivers considered. 6 months, maybe less. Is that enough time? Rivers clicked a button, and the screen changed to show a massive construction facility hidden inside an asteroid. It has to be. The ESS Vindicator is nearly complete. The image showed a ship unlike anything Earth had built before. While the ASA Defiant had resembled old NASA spacecraft with its smooth lines and simple design, the Vindicator was clearly built for war. Its hull was angular and dark, with multiple weapon ports along its sides. It was 3 times larger than the Defiant, and bristled with new technology. This isn't just a ship, Rivers explained. It's humanity's answer to imperial arrogance. We've incorporated everything we learned from the Defiant's encounter. Their shields are weak against certain frequencies. Their engines are powerful but slow to respond. Their weapons are strong but predictable. Powell nodded slowly. And you believe this will be enough? 1 ship against their fleet? No, Rivers admitted. But the Vindicator isn't meant to win a war. It's meant to show them we're not as primitive as they think. If they want Earth, they'll have to pay a price they can't afford. Back in Imperial space, Sub-Commander Krell stood nervously before a communication screen. Admiral Zixvora's face filled the display, his 4 eyes blinking with impatience. You have found the human homeworld? Zixvora asked. Yes, Admiral, Krell said. It is a blue-green planet in a simple solar system. Scans show approximately 8 billion life forms and basic technology. Their most advanced settlement appears to be on their moon, but it is small. 8 billion? Zixvora seemed surprised. A large population for such a primitive species. What defenses do they have? Krell checked his notes. Simple orbital satellites, a few armed space stations. Nothing that could stop even a small Imperial fleet. Good. The Council has granted permission for annexation. You will take 5 ships and secure this Earth. Offer the standard terms, surrender or limited orbital bombardment of military targets. Krell bowed slightly. It will be done, Admiral. When should we depart? Immediately. I want this matter settled quickly. These humans have unusual technology we need to study. On Earth, the pace of preparation increased. The United Earth government had diverted massive resources to space defense. Old conflicts between nations were set aside in the face of an external threat. Captain Lisa Reyes stood on the bridge of the ESS Vindicator for the first time. The ship hummed with power around her. The bridge was unlike that of the Defiant. It was larger with specialized stations for each function, and built with the lessons of the first encounter in mind. Systems check, she ordered. Lieutenant Gregory Barnes ran his hands over the weapons console. Weapons online. Pulse cannons at full charge. Missile systems ready. Communications ready, reported Officer Natalie Clark. All channels clear. Reyes tapped a button on her chair. Engineering status? Engines at full power, Captain, came the reply. The new drive system is performing beyond expectations. Reyes allowed herself a small smile. The Vindicator wasn't just a warship. It was the best of human innovation pushed to its limits. Engineers had studied the Imperial weapons signature and created shields specifically to counter it. The engines combined the best of human design with insights gleaned from the alien technology. Begin undocking procedures, Reyes ordered. Set course for Mars orbit. The massive ship slowly pulled away from its construction bay inside the asteroid. Its dark hull reflected little light, making it difficult to see against the blackness of space. This was intentional. The Vindicator was designed to hide until the moment to strike. As the ship moved into open space, General Martinez watched from a command center on Earth. How does she handle? She asked over the communication link. Like a dream, General, Reyes replied. Nothing like our simulators predicted. She's faster, more responsive. Good, because our long-range sensors have detected Imperial ships entering the solar system. 5 vessels approaching from the outer planets. Reyes tensed. Sooner than we expected. Yes, Martinez agreed. Take position behind Mars as planned. Let them come to Earth. Let them think we're defenseless. As the Vindicator moved silently into position, the Imperial ships approached with confidence. From his command ship, Sub-Commander Krell viewed the blue planet with satisfaction. "Begin transmission," he ordered. Across Earth, all communications devices suddenly broadcast the same message. Krell's alien face appeared on screens worldwide. "People of Earth," he announced, "I am Sub-Commander Krell of the Galactic Imperial Alliance. Your planet is now under Imperial protection. Surrender your governments to Imperial authority, and you will be welcomed as a protectorate species. Resist, and we will be forced to demonstrate our power. You have 1 Earth day to comply." In the command center, General Martinez turned to Secretary Powell. "Right on schedule." Powell nodded grimly. "And now we see if our gamble pays off." Behind Mars, the ESS Vindicator waited in silence, its systems running at minimal power to avoid detection. Captain Reyes looked at her crew, each person tense but ready. "This is what we trained for," she said quietly. "No matter what happens next, we show them that humans aren't to be underestimated." The Imperial ships moved into Earth orbit, their sensors scanning the planet but missing the warship hiding behind the red planet. Their arrogance would be their undoing. They expected surrender from a primitive species. They would find something else entirely. Sub-Commander Krell stood proudly on the bridge of his command ship. His 5 vessels hung in Earth orbit like giant predators surrounding helpless prey. The view screen showed the blue planet turning slowly beneath them. "Any response to our demands?" Krell asked. His communications officer checked the readings. "Nothing official, sir. We detect many transmissions between their nations, but no unified message to us." Krell smiled, showing his pointed teeth. "They scramble in fear, typical of primitive species when faced with superior technology." The weapons officer approached. "Sir, should we prepare a demonstration? Perhaps destroy one of their orbital satellites?" "Not yet," Krell said. "The protocol gives them 1 planetary rotation to respond. We will be patient. It makes the victory more satisfying." Behind Mars, Captain Lisa Reyes and her crew on the ESS Vindicator watched the Imperial ships through their advanced sensors. Lieutenant Gregory Barnes studied the weapons data with growing excitement. "Captain, their shield configurations are exactly what we predicted," Barnes reported. "The energy patterns match what hit the Defiant." Reyes nodded. "And our countermeasures? Ready to deploy. The pulse cannons are calibrated to the frequency their shields can't block." Communications Officer Natalie Clark looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm intercepting their internal communications. Their universal translators convert everything to their language, but our AI is decoding it." "What are they saying?" Reyes asked. Clark smiled. "They're discussing which parts of Earth to claim first. They're dividing up continents like prizes." Reyes felt a cold anger settle in her chest. She tapped her command chair. "All stations, prepare for combat. We will wait for General Martinez's signal." In the Earth Command Center, General Heather Martinez watched the Imperial ships on the large display. Secretary Powell stood beside her, his face tense. "The Security Council has made their decision," Powell said. "Earth will not surrender." Martinez nodded. "Then it's time. Send our response." On the Imperial command ship, an alert sounded. The communications officer turned to Krell. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the planet." "Put it on screen," Krell ordered, straightening his uniform. "Let us hear their surrender." The screen showed General Martinez in her formal military uniform. Her expression was calm and determined. "This is General Heather Martinez of the United Earth Defense Force. We have received and considered your demand. Earth rejects imperial authority. We are not interested in becoming a protectorate. We propose peaceful relations between equals." Instead, Krell laughed loudly. The other officers on the bridge joined in. "Equals? Your species has barely left its own planet. What makes you think you can stand against the Empire?" Martinez's expression didn't change. "We are not as primitive as you believe, Sub-Commander. We recommend you withdraw your forces." Krell's amusement turned to anger. "You dare threaten the Imperial fleet? Perhaps you need a demonstration of our power." He turned to his weapons officer. Target their largest military base. Low-yield plasma burst, just enough to show them our capabilities. Yes, sir, the weapons officer replied, fingers moving over the controls. Martinez spoke again. If you fire on our planet, we will respond. This is your only warning. Your warning is noted and dismissed, Krell said. Fire when ready. The largest Imperial ship's weapons began to glow with green energy, but before they could release their attack, sensors across all 5 ships suddenly blared with alerts. Sir, the Imperial sensor operator shouted. Something is approaching from behind the 4th planet. Show me, Krell demanded. The screen changed to show a dark, angular ship emerging from behind Mars. It moved with surprising speed, heading directly toward the Imperial fleet. What is that? Krell asked, leaning forward. It appears to be a human vessel, the sensor operator said, confusion in his voice. But much larger than the scout we encountered before. Krell laughed again, but with less confidence. 1 ship against 5? They are braver than they are wise. Redirect weapons, destroy this annoyance. On the Vindicator, Captain Reyes watched the Imperial ships turn toward them. They've spotted us. All stations, battle positions, shields at maximum. They're charging weapons, Barnes reported. Hold course, Reyes ordered. Let them fire first. The Imperial ships released a barrage of green energy beams. The weapons officer watched with satisfaction, expecting to see the human ship explode or at least be crippled. Instead, the beams hit the Vindicator's shields, which flared with blue light but held firm. Impossible, Krell shouted. Their shields should not withstand our weapons. On the Vindicator, the crew felt the ship shake slightly, but systems remained green. Shields holding at 92%, Barnes reported. Their weapons are powerful, but exactly the type we prepared for. Reyes nodded. Return fire. Target the smallest ship first. Show them what we can do. The Vindicator's pulse cannons charged with a high-pitched whine, then released beams of blue-white energy. The beams struck the smallest Imperial ship, passing through its shields as if they weren't there. The vessel's hull tore open, atmosphere venting into space. The Imperial fleet fell into confusion. Their sensors showed something that shouldn't be possible. A primitive species with weapons that ignored Imperial shields. How? Krell demanded. How are they doing this? His science officer worked frantically at the controls. Their weapons operate on a completely different energy spectrum. Our shields aren't calibrated for it. Then recalibrate, Krell shouted. It will take time. The Vindicator moved with surprising speed between the Imperial ships, firing precise shots at weapons, systems, and engines. A second Imperial vessel lost power, drifting helplessly. Krell gripped his command chair. All ships concentrate fire on the human vessel. The remaining Imperial ships surrounded the Vindicator, firing continuously. The human ship's shields glowed brightly under the assault but continued to hold. Shields at 60%, Barnes reported. We can't take this forever, Captain. We don't need to, Reyes replied. Execute Maneuver Delta. The Vindicator suddenly accelerated, moving faster than the Imperial ships could track. It positioned itself behind Krell's command ship and fired directly at its engines. Krell's bridge shook violently. Consoles exploded in showers of sparks. Report, he shouted. Engine core damaged. His engineer responded. We're losing power. Sir, the communications officer called out. The other ships are requesting orders. Should they continue fighting or retreat? Krell stared at the screen, watching as the human ship maneuvered with impossible agility, avoiding Imperial weapons while landing precise hits on their vital systems. This was not the primitive species they had expected. This was something else entirely. Signal retreat, Krell said quietly. We must inform the Admiral. As the damaged Imperial ships limped away from Earth, the crew of the Vindicator cheered. Captain Reyes allowed herself a small smile before restoring order. Well done, everyone, she said, but this was just the beginning. They'll be back and in greater numbers. General Martinez's face appeared on the bridge screen. Excellent work, Captain. Return to Earth orbit. The whole world is celebrating. Thank you, General, Reyes replied. But I recommend we start building more ships immediately. The Empire now knows we're not defenseless. As the Vindicator turned toward home, the Imperial ships jumped to faster-than-light travel. Sub-Commander Krell prepared the message he would send to Admiral Zixvora. How could he explain that a supposedly primitive species had defeated 5 Imperial warships with a single vessel? How could he explain that these humans had technologies the Empire had never seen? The Empire had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. But now, for the first time, Krell felt something he had never expected to feel toward a newly discovered species. Fear. Admiral Zixvora stared at the recording for the 5th time. The dark human ship moved with impossible speed, firing weapons that passed through Imperial shields as if they weren't there. 2 Imperial ships destroyed, 1 crippled, and 2 damaged. By a single vessel from a species that had just discovered faster-than-light travel. This cannot be, he muttered. Grand Strategist Vorthax, an ancient member of the ruling species with gray skin and 6 eyes, watched silently beside him. When the recording ended, he spoke in a raspy voice. The evidence is clear, Admiral. These humans have developed technology in ways we did not anticipate. Zixvora turned to face the higher-ranking official. But how? Our scientists say it should be impossible. No species develops this quickly. Perhaps they had help, Vorthax suggested. Or perhaps we have grown too comfortable in our superiority. The Admiral pounded his fist on the table. I want answers, and I want these humans contained before they become a larger problem. In a large underground chamber on Earth, government and military leaders gathered around a circular table. At the center stood Admiral Michelle Foster, recently promoted to lead Earth's growing space fleet. The Imperial ships have retreated beyond our solar system, she reported. But our long-range probes detect increased activity in nearby sectors. They're gathering a larger force. Secretary Powell nodded gravely. How long do we have? Our best estimate is 3 months, Foster replied. Maybe less. Engineer Brandon Phillips stepped forward. He was young for his position, but his brilliance had been key to developing Earth's new technologies. The good news is that the Vindicator performed even better than expected, Phillips said. The bad news is that 1 ship won't be enough against a full Imperial fleet. How many can we build in 3 months? General Martinez asked. Phillips projected a hologram showing 3 ships of different designs. We've already begun construction on these. The Vanguard, built for speed and reconnaissance. The Valiant, designed for close combat with improved shields. And the Vengeance, our heavy weapons platform. 3 more ships, Powell said. Against how many Imperial vessels? Foster's expression was grim. Based on the communications we intercepted, at least 30. The room fell silent. Even with their technological advantages, 4 ships against 30 seemed impossible odds. There's something else, said a new voice. Diplomat Richard Coleman entered the room, carrying a data pad. Coleman had been working with alien communication specialists to learn more about the Empire. We've been contacted by representatives from 3 different species within the Empire, Coleman explained. They've been watching what happened here. They want to help. Martinez leaned forward. Why would they help us against their own empire? Coleman displayed images of 3 very different alien species. Because they're not willing members of the Empire. They were conquered, just as the Empire tried to conquer us. They've been looking for an opportunity to break free. On the Imperial capital world, the ruling council gathered in an enormous chamber. 13 different alien species were represented, all part of the original alliance that had formed the Empire thousands of years ago. This human problem must be addressed immediately, said Councillor Drex, a massive insectoid being. They have already destroyed Imperial ships. After we fired on them, pointed out another councillor, a small floating creature with tentacles. Perhaps negotiation would be wiser. Admiral Zixvora stood before them. Negotiations with primitive species only delay the inevitable. They must be shown their place. Grand Strategist Vorthax raised a hand for silence. The humans display unusual characteristics. Their ship designs are unlike anything in our records. They developed specific countermeasures to our weapons in a remarkably short time. This suggests a dangerous level of adaptability. All the more reason to crush them quickly, Zixvora insisted. Vorthax fixed all 6 of his eyes on the Admiral. Is that not what Sub-Commander Krell attempted? With poor results? The council chamber filled with angry shouts and arguments. Finally, Vorthax spoke again. I propose a compromise. Admiral Zixvora will lead our largest battle fleet to the human world, but he will first offer them one final chance to join the Empire as an autonomous protectorate rather than a subject race. This is more generous than our usual terms. The Council voted and approved the plan. Zixvora bowed, hiding his satisfaction. He would have his revenge on these upstart humans. Back on Earth, the construction of new warships continued day and night. The Vanguard was already complete, a sleek vessel built for speed. The Valiant and Vengeance were nearly finished. Admiral Foster stood with Engineer Phillips in the asteroid base, watching as workers applied the final armor plates to the Vengeance. Will they be enough? Foster asked quietly. Phillips didn't answer immediately. The ships, yes. They incorporate everything. We learned from the first battle. But crews take time to train, and time is what we don't have. Foster nodded. We'll need to be smarter, not just stronger. On the bridge of the ESS Valiant, Captain Sofia Rodriguez inspected her new command. The ship was similar to the Vindicator, but with significant improvements to its shield systems. What do you think, Lieutenant? She asked the young officer beside her. Lieutenant Daniel Grant studied the weapons console. He was younger than most officers but had shown remarkable tactical insight during simulations. The Empire will adapt to our previous strategies, Grant said. They'll modify their shields and weapons based on what they learned in the first battle. So we need new strategies, Rodriguez concluded. Grant nodded. I've been working on something I call the solar flare maneuver. It uses our shields to create an energy wave that could disrupt multiple enemy ships at once. Risky? Very, Grant admitted. But if it works, it could even the odds. In deep space, representatives from Earth met with aliens from worlds under Imperial control. 3 species had sent small ships to a secret location, the Viridians, a plant-like species with advanced biological technology. The Krell, reptilian engineers whose ships were marvels of efficiency, and the Zorathi, energy beings who understood Imperial systems better than anyone. Diplomat Coleman led the Earth delegation. We share a common goal, he told the gathered. Aliens. Freedom from Imperial control. The Viridian representative, a tall being with bark-like skin and leaf-like hair, spoke in a musical voice. For centuries we have endured Imperial rule. When we saw your small fleet defeat their ships, we knew the time had come. We don't have much time, Coleman said. The Empire is gathering a massive fleet. We know, said the Zorathi representative, a swirling mist of blue energy in a containment suit. Our spies report Admiral Zixvora himself will lead 35 warships to Earth. They depart in 7 days. Coleman looked grim. We have 4 ships. The reptilian Krell representative clicked its teeth. You have allies now. We each bring 3 ships to your cause. Together with your unusual technology, we stand a chance. As the diplomatic talks continued, Earth's fleet prepared for war. The Empire was coming in force, but this time, humanity would not stand alone. The space near Nexus Prime, a major Imperial hub world filled with warships. 35 Imperial vessels gathered in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with polished metal and glowing energy fields. At the center, the massive dreadnought. Imperial judgment dwarfed all other ships. On its bridge, Supreme Admiral Threxcon surveyed his fleet with satisfaction. Threxcon was taller than most Imperial officers, with deep blue skin and 6 eyes arranged in a circle around his head. He had commanded fleets for over a century and never lost a significant battle. The largest fleet mobilization in 50 years, he said to Admiral Zixvora, who stood nearby. All to deal with one primitive planet. Zixvora looked uncomfortable. The humans are more dangerous than they appear, Supreme Admiral. Their technology is unusual. Threxcon made a dismissive gesture. So I have heard. One lucky victory against an unprepared commander does not impress me. We are ready for their tricks now. The communications officer interrupted. Supreme Admiral, all ships report ready for jump to the human system. Excellent, Threxcon said. Begin the jump sequence. One by one, the Imperial ships vanished into faster-than-light travel. In Earth's orbit, a much smaller fleet waited. 4 human ships formed the core: the veteran Vindicator, the swift Vanguard, the sturdy Valiant, and the heavily armed Vengeance. Alongside them were 9 alien vessels, 3 each from the Viridians, the Krell, and the Zarathi. Admiral Jason Winters stood on the bridge of the ESS Thunderbolt, Earth's newest and largest warship. Completed just days earlier, it had yet to be fully tested. Status report, Winters called. All Earth ships report ready, his executive officer replied. Allied vessels are in position. Captain Sofia Rodriguez's face appeared on a communication screen. The Valiant under her command would lead the first attack group. Admiral, long-range sensors detect multiple FTL signatures approaching. The Imperial fleet is arriving. Winters nodded. All ships, battle formations. Remember the plan. Lieutenant Daniel Grant stood at the tactical station on the Valiant. Captain, the first wave of Imperial ships is dropping out of FTL. Rodriguez straightened her uniform. Let's show them what humans can do. The Imperial fleet appeared in a brilliant display of light. 35 warships arranged in perfect attack formation, their weapons already charging. Supreme Admiral Threxcon's first reaction was confusion, then amusement. 13 ships? They think they can stand against us with 13 ships? Zix Vora studied the enemy fleet more carefully. Supreme Admiral, those aren't all human vessels. I recognize Viridian, Krell, and Zarathi designs. Threxcon's eyes narrowed. Subject species fighting alongside humans? This is outright rebellion. He turned to his weapons officer. Target the human vessels first. Once they fall, the others will lose heart. The Imperial fleet moved forward, weapons glowing with deadly energy. On the Thunderbolt, Admiral Winters watched the enemy approach. They're following standard Imperial attack patterns. Predictable. He opened a channel to all ships. Execute Phase 1. Instead of forming a defensive line as the Imperials expected, the Earth-led fleet broke into smaller groups. The Vanguard and 3 alien ships accelerated suddenly, moving at speeds that surprised the Imperial commanders. They're faster than our reports indicated, Zixavora said with concern. The small, swift ships darted between the Imperial formation, firing precise shots at communication arrays and sensor systems. They didn't try to destroy the ships, only to blind them. Minor damage, an Imperial officer reported. But they're disrupting our fleet communications. Threxcon wasn't worried. Close the formation. Concentrate fire on the largest human vessel. The Imperial ships turned their massive weapons toward the Thunderbolt. Green energy beams lanced across space, only to be absorbed by the ship's shields, which glowed with a blue light. Their shields are holding, Zixavora exclaimed. On the Thunderbolt, the crew felt the ship shake under the barrage. Shields at 82% and stable, an officer reported. Winters nodded. They've committed to their attack. Execute Phase 2. The Valiant and Vindicator, accompanied by several alien vessels, moved into position behind the Imperial fleet. Captain Rodriguez looked to Lieutenant Grant. Your moment, Lieutenant. Begin the solar flare maneuver. Grant's fingers flew over his console, reconfiguring shield generators, charging pulse systems. The Valiant's shields began to pulse with increasing brightness. Energy built up around the ship in waves, growing stronger with each pulse. Energy at maximum, Grant reported. Releasing now. The accumulated energy burst outward in a massive wave, washing over the rear section of the Imperial fleet. As it passed through each ship, their systems flickered and failed. Engines shut down, weapons lost power, and shields collapsed. What just happened? Threxcon demanded, as the lights on his own ship dimmed momentarily. Some kind of electromagnetic pulse, an officer replied. 7 ships have lost power completely, 12 others reporting partial systems failure. Before the Imperial fleet could recover, the Vengeance moved into firing position. Unlike the other Earth ships, it carried massive railguns that fired physical projectiles, a technology the Empire had abandoned centuries ago in favor of energy weapons. Without shields, the Imperial ships had no defense against the hypervelocity rounds that tore through their hulls. 3 more ships were crippled in the first volley. Threxcon watched in disbelief as his perfect formation fell into chaos. Impossible! How can primitive humans do this? They're not primitive, Zixvora said quietly. We were wrong about them. The battle raged for another hour. The Imperial fleet, still outnumbering their opponents, fought fiercely. But the combined Earth-alien forces used tactics the Empire had never seen, exploiting weaknesses in Imperial technology that no one had discovered in centuries. Finally, the Thunderbolt moved directly toward the Imperial flagship. Despite taking heavy damage, the Earth vessel closed the distance and fired its main weapon, a concentrated beam that cut through the Imperial Judgment's command deck. Supreme Admiral Threxcon stared as his screens showed the approaching human ship. For the first time in his long career, he felt fear. "Send the signal," he ordered. "All ships to cease fire." The battle ended with 19 Imperial ships destroyed or disabled. The rest, including the damaged flagship, pulled back to a defensive position. Admiral Winters opened a communication channel. "Imperial flagship, this is Admiral Jason Winters of Earth. Your fleet is defeated. We offer terms." On his damaged bridge, Threxcon swallowed his pride. "What terms?" "The Empire will recognize Earth and its allied worlds as independent territories. No further attempts at conquest. In return, we will not push further into Imperial space." Threxcon looked at the ruin of his fleet, the greatest armada in half a century, defeated by 13 ships led by a species that barely had space travel. "I accept your terms, human," he said. "The Empire will recognize your independence." As the Imperial ships retreated, celebrations erupted across Earth and the allied alien worlds. For the first time in thousands of years, someone had successfully stood against the Empire. Admiral Winters stood on the observation deck of the Thunderbolt, looking out at the stars. Captain Rodriguez joined him. "What happens now?" she asked. Winters smiled. "Now we build, we explore, we make sure the Empire keeps its word. And if they don't, then they'll discover that today they only saw a fraction of what humanity is capable." Far away in the Imperial capital, news of the defeat spread. For the first time, citizens began to question the Empire's power, and across the galaxy, other subjugated species looked to Earth with hope. The humans had done the impossible. They had shown that the Empire could be beaten, and the galaxy would never be the same again.